I want you to picture something. It is the middle of July. You are sitting on your porch with a cold drink in your hand. Your yard is so full, so layered with color, so thick with life, that your neighbor actually walks over and asks you what you did differently this year. And your honest answer is, I planted 13 things in spring. That's it. No replanting, no weekly maintenance, no trips back to the garden center every April to start over from scratch. Just 13 smart decisions made once that are still paying off right now and will keep paying off for the next 10, 15, 20 years. That is what fast-spreading perennials do. They don't just grow, they colonize. They spread outward every season, filling bare soil, choking out weeds, multiplying into free plants, and building landscapes that get more beautiful every single year without proportionally more work from you. Today, I'm giving you 13 of the fastest-spreading, most landscape-transforming perennials available to American homeowners right now. And I deliberately chose plants you won't find on every other gardening list, because you deserve better than the same 10 plants recycled in every video. These are the ones that serious gardeners reach for. The ones that change what a yard looks like within one season and what it looks like in 5 years. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what does your yard look like right now? Is it lush and full, or are there bare patches, problem spots, and areas that have defeated every plant you've tried? Drop your honest answer below, because I guarantee this list has a direct answer to whatever you're dealing with. Before the plants, the strategy. Because understanding why fast-spreading perennials work the way they do changes how you use them and how much you get out of them. Here's the core biological principle. Perennial plants invest their first season building root infrastructure. Deep, extensive root systems that store energy, access moisture from deeper soil layers, and anchor the plant against drought, cold, and competition. That underground investment is what makes year 2 and year 3 so dramatically different from year 1. By the time an established, fast-spreading perennial is entering its 3rd season, it has more stored energy, more root mass, and more biological momentum than any annual you've ever planted. And here's the economic reality that most homeowners never calculate. The average American spends $503 per year on lawn and garden expenses. A significant portion goes to annuals and replacement plants. Perennials that spread eliminate that recurring cost permanently. 1 clump of a fast-spreading perennial planted this spring, but 2 clumps by fall, 4 by year 3, 8 by year 5. Each division is a free plant worth $10 to $20 at any nursery. The math compounds in your favor every single season. Now, fast spreading doesn't mean uncontrollable. Every plant on today's list spreads in ways you can manage with basic edging and division. What it means is that these plants fill space aggressively enough to deny weeds the bare soil they need to germinate. Bare soil is a weed's best friend. A fast-spreading perennial is its worst enemy. Let's meet the 13. Quick question. Have you ever bought a perennial, planted it, and been disappointed by how slowly it grew? Tell me what it was in the comments. Because slow establishment is almost always caused by one of 3 fixable mistakes, and I'm going to cover all 3 of them before this video ends. Starting with number 1. Cutleaf Coneflower. Rudbeckia laciniata, and I'm starting here because this plant delivers the most dramatic landscape transformation of anything on today's list in the shortest time. This is not the common black-eyed Susan you've seen everywhere. This is its taller, more architectural, more aggressively spreading cousin, and most American homeowners have never heard of it. Rudbeckia laciniata grows 5 to 7 feet tall in a single season, producing large golden yellow flowers with drooping petals surrounding a distinctive green center cone. The visual impact of a mature colony is genuinely breathtaking. It reads as a living wall of gold from late summer through fall. Here's the spreading data. It spreads through vigorous underground rhizomes and self-seeds prolifically. A single plant becomes a dense colony within 2 to 3 seasons. It fills large, difficult areas, rough slopes, back borders, naturalized zones, faster than almost any other tall perennial. It is native to eastern and central North America, drought-tolerant once established, essentially pest and disease-free. Goldfinches feed on the seed heads from October through February, Full sun to part shade, zones 3 through 9. Give it space, it will use every inch of it. Number 2. Liatris spicata, blazing star. And this plant does something visually that almost nothing else in the perennial world replicates. Most flowers open from the bottom of the spike upward. Liatris opens from the top down, producing a cascading progression of vivid purple magenta that moves down the stem over several weeks, dramatically extending the visual bloom period of each individual spike. It blooms July through September, precisely when many summer gardens are beginning to look exhausted, with vertical, torch-like spikes reaching 2 to 4 feet tall. The purple is deep, saturated, and intense in a way that photographs don't fully capture. Documented fact: Liatris spicata is among the top 3 most visited perennials by monarch butterflies during their late summer migration through the continental United States. Growing it is one of the most direct contributions a home gardener can make to monarch conservation. It grows from corms that multiply underground every season. Plant 1 corm, by year 3 you have a spreading clump producing dozens of spikes. Division every 4 years keeps it vigorous and gives you free plants indefinitely. Full sun, average to dry soil, it actually performs better in lean conditions. Zones 3 through 9. Number 3. Persicaria amplexicaulis, mountain fleece. And this is the plant that professional landscape designers reach for when a client says they want color from June through November, because nothing else on the market delivers a bloom window that long. Persicaria produces slender, elegant flower spikes in deep red, rich pink, or white, depending on variety, from early summer through the first hard frost. In a good season, that can mean 6 continuous months of bloom from a single perennial. 6 months. That is not a typo. The RHS Award of Garden Merit Variety Firetail produces brilliant crimson spikes that glow in afternoon light. JS Caliente produces an even deeper, more saturated red. Both are exceptional performers across American growing zones. It spreads by vigorous clump expansion, doubling in size each season in good conditions, and fills large border areas with dense, weed-suppressing foliage that remains attractive even when not in bloom. Tolerates part shade. Genuinely thrives in it, making it one of the few long-blooming perennials that performs well in gardens with significant tree coverage. Zones 4 through 9. Part shade to full sun. Consistent moisture preferred. 3 plants in, and I've already given you a 6-month bloomer, a monarch magnet, and the most dramatic tall perennial most homeowners have never heard of. If you're finding value here, and I think you genuinely are, subscribe right now. I publish practical, fact-backed gardening content every single week. Real plant knowledge, real results. Hit subscribe, it's free, and it means content like this finds you every week going forward. Number 4. Aromatic Aster, Symphyotrichum oblongifolium. And I want to be specific here, this is not the common New England aster. This is a superior, more compact, more drought-tolerant species that outperforms it in almost every measurable way. Aromatic Aster blooms in September and October, covering itself so completely in violet-blue flowers that the foliage disappears entirely beneath them. The bloom density is extraordinary. The plant looks like a purple cloud sitting in your landscape right when everything else is winding down for fall. Here is what makes it exceptional beyond the bloom. It is one of the most drought-tolerant fall-blooming perennials documented in North American plant trials. The Morton Arboretum rates it among the top performers for low-maintenance landscape use in the Midwest and Northeast. It spreads by self-seeding and gentle rhizome expansion, filling in around itself without becoming invasive. It stays compact, 18 to 24 inches, making it appropriate for front and mid-borders where New England aster gets too large. Deer-resistant, native to Central and Eastern North America. Supports over 40 specialist bee species that depend on aster pollen specifically. Full sun, dry to average soil, zones 3 through 9. Number 5. Yellow wild indigo. Baptisia sphaerocarpa. And most American gardeners know the purple Baptisia australis, but almost nobody is growing this yellow species, which is a genuine oversight because the performance difference is remarkable. Baptisia sphaerocarpa produces vivid canary yellow flower spikes in late spring over mounds of attractive blue-green foliage that remains ornamentally interesting all season long. The yellow is bright, clear, and luminous, completely distinct from the blue-purple of the common species. Here's the botanical fact that makes all Baptisia exceptional. It is a nitrogen-fixing legume. Its roots form symbiotic relationships with soil bacteria that convert atmospheric nitrogen into plant-available fertilizer. Every year it grows, it actively improves the soil chemistry of the surrounding area. It is simultaneously a landscape plant and a soil amendment. Individual Baptisia plants are documented living 50 to 100 years in undisturbed locations. Plant it once in the right spot, and it will outlive your ownership of the property. It develops a deep, extensive taproot that makes transplanting difficult after year 2. Choose its permanent location carefully. Once established, it handles drought, heat, poor soil, and complete neglect with total indifference. Deer-resistant, pest-free, disease-free, full sun, well-drained soil. Zones 5 through 9. Number 6. Penstemon digitalis, foxglove beard tongue. And for any homeowner who wants hummingbirds visiting their yard consistently from May through July, this is the plant that makes it happen most reliably. Penstemon digitalis produces tall, elegant spikes of tubular white flowers, sometimes flushed with pale lavender, from late spring through midsummer. The tubular flower shape is biologically engineered for hummingbird feeding. Their beaks fit the tubes precisely. They return daily throughout the entire bloom period. The variety Husker Red, winner of the Perennial Plant Association's Plant of the Year, adds deep burgundy red foliage that provides ornamental interest far beyond the bloom period. The foliage alone makes it worth growing. Here's the spreading data. Penstemon digitalis self-seeds prolifically in conditions it likes. One plant becomes a colony within 3 seasons without any intervention. Each seedling is genetically diverse, meaning your colony develops natural variation in height, flower density, and foliage color over time, becoming more visually interesting every year. It is native to eastern North America. Tolerates clay soil better than almost any other Penstemon species. Handles periodic flooding and drought with equal resilience. Full sun to part shade. Zones 3 through 8. We are halfway through this list, and I want to ask you something real. Which of these 6 plants have you actually grown before? And which ones are completely new to you? Drop your answer in the comments because I want to know what the gap is between what serious gardeners grow and what most homeowners have access to. Your answers genuinely shape the videos I make next. Number 7. Veronicastrum virginicum, Culver's root. And this is the plant that makes every professional landscape designer's shortlist for tall, architectural, midsummer impact, and almost no homeowner has ever heard of it. Culver's root produces tall, candelabra-like arrangements of slender white flower spikes reaching 4 to 6 feet in midsummer. The architectural quality is extraordinary. Nothing in the perennial world produces quite the same elegant, vertical, layered effect. It blooms July through August, filling the midsummer gap that catches many landscapes looking sparse after spring bloomers have finished. The white flowers are clean, bright, and luminous. They glow in evening light in a way that makes your garden look magical during the hours you're actually outside enjoying it. It spreads steadily by clump expansion, not aggressively, but reliably. In 3 to 4 seasons, it develops into a substantial multi-stemmed colony that provides significant screening and visual presence. Documented ecological value. Culver's root supports 102 documented native bee species in North American University insect surveys. It is one of the most ecologically productive tall perennials available to American homeowners. Part shade to full sun, consistent moisture preferred, zones 3 through 8. Number 8. Geranium macrorhizum, bigroot geranium. And for the single most difficult gardening challenge most American homeowners face, dry shade under large established trees, this is the most reliable, most proven solution available. Geranium macrorhizum has a root system so vigorous and so extensive, hence the name bigroot, that it handles the fierce root competition under mature trees that defeats virtually every other spreading perennial. Where other ground covers struggle and thin out, bigroot geranium thickens. The aromatic foliage, and the fragrance is distinctive, sharp, and resinous, turns brilliant shades of orange, red, and burgundy in fall before going semi-evergreen through winter in zone 6 and warmer. 4 seasons of ornamental value from one plant. Pink to magenta flowers cover the plant in late spring. After bloom, the foliage is the feature, and it earns that role for the remaining 7 months. Here's the practical spreading data. Big root geranium expands by both rhizome spread and self-seeding. In good conditions, it covers a square meter from a single plant within 3 seasons. Under trees where competition is fierce, establishment is slower but permanent once achieved. Deer-resistant, essentially slug-proof, the aromatic oils deter them. No significant pest or disease issues. Part shade to full shade. Dry to average soil. Zones 3 through 8. Number 9. Tradescantia ohiensis, Ohio spiderwort. And this Native American perennial is one of the most underused, most underappreciated, fast-spreading plants available to homeowners in the eastern and central United States. Spiderwort produces vivid 3-petaled flowers in deep purple, violet blue, or soft pink depending on variety, from late spring through midsummer. Each individual flower lasts 1 day, but established clumps produce buds continuously for 6 to 8 weeks, maintaining constant color through that entire bloom window. The spreading behavior is exactly what this list is about. Tradescantia ohiensis expands by vigorous clump division and self-seeds prolifically. In conditions it likes, it naturalizes into sweeping colonies that fill large areas completely and permanently. Here's a fact that genuinely changes how you look at this plant. Tradescantia was used by multiple Native American nations as a food source, a medicinal plant, and a soil indicator. Its presence historically indicated fertile, well-structured soil. Modern research confirms its exceptional adaptability to variable soil conditions across the eastern United States. It tolerates clay, sandy soil, part shade, and periodic drought with equal resilience. One of the most adaptable natives on today's list. Part shade to full sun, zones 4 through 9. Number 10. Helenium autumnale, sneezeweed. And before anyone reacts to that name, it has nothing to do with allergies. The name comes from the historical practice of drying the leaves and using them as snuff. The plant itself produces heavy insect-carried pollen that cannot become airborne and has never caused a single allergy. What helenium does cause is one of the most spectacular late summer to fall color displays available in the American perennial garden. It blooms August through October in rich, saturated shades of orange, copper, red, burgundy, and yellow, often with multiple colors blending in a single flower head. The color palette is warm, bold, and autumnal in the best possible way. When your summer garden is transitioning and most perennials are winding down, helenium is accelerating. Spreading data? It expands by vigorous clump division every season and self-seeds reliably. In 3 seasons, one plant becomes a substantial colony producing dozens of flower stems simultaneously. Pinch stems back by half in late May. This one cut creates dramatically more branching, more flower stems, and a compact self-supporting plant that needs no staking. Skip it, and you get a taller, floppier plant with fewer blooms. Do it, and you get a landscape showpiece. Native to North America, full sun, consistent moisture, zones 3 through 8. 10 plants in, every single one of them different from the standard lists you find everywhere else. If this video is showing you plants you've genuinely never encountered before, and I think for most of you it is, then hit like right now. That one click tells YouTube this content deserves to reach more homeowners who are stuck buying the same predictable plants every spring. Help me reach them. Hit like. Number 11. Amsonia tabernaemontana, blue star. And this plant earns its place on this list not for 1 season of performance, but for 4. In spring, delicate clusters of pale, ice blue, star-shaped flowers cover the plant for 3 to 4 weeks. The blue is soft, refined, and genuinely distinctive. Nothing else in the spring garden produces quite that color. In summer, the fine, willow-like foliage forms an elegant, vase-shaped mound that provides excellent textural contrast to bolder neighboring perennials. It fills its allotted space cleanly and holds its shape all season. In fall, and this is what makes Blue Star truly exceptional, the foliage turns brilliant golden yellow, not pale yellow, not yellow-green, pure, saturated, glowing gold. It rivals ornamental grasses and shrubs for sheer autumn color impact. In winter, the structural seed pods and stem arrangement provide subtle but genuine visual interest against snow. 4 seasons of ornamental value, from one plant that spreads by clump expansion into gradually widening colonies of increasing beauty year after year. The Missouri Botanical Garden rates Amsonia tabernaemontana among its top recommended perennials for low-maintenance American landscapes. Deer-resistant, pest-free, disease-free, drought-tolerant once established, full sun to part shade, zones 3 through 9. Number 12. Eupatorium dubium. Little Joe pieweed, and I specifically chose the compact Little Joe variety, reaching just 3 to 4 feet, because the full-size species grows 7 feet tall and overwhelms most residential landscapes. Little Joe produces large, domed clusters of dusty, rose-mauve flowers from July through September on sturdy, upright stems with attractive dark green foliage. The flower clusters are substantial, up to 6 inches across, and produce a visual presence that anchors large border areas with genuine authority. Here is the ecological data that makes this plant remarkable. Little Joe pieweed supports over 100 species of native bees and butterflies in documented North American entomological surveys. It is specifically critical for migrating monarch butterflies in July and August, providing nectar at a time when many other nectar sources have finished blooming. It spreads by self-seeding and clump expansion, filling large areas in naturalized settings within 3 to 4 seasons. Informal borders, deadhead after bloom to control self-seeding and maintain tidier appearance. Tolerates clay soil, tolerates periodic wet conditions. One of the most adaptable tall perennials for difficult, heavy soil situations. Full sun to part shade, consistent moisture preferred, zones 4 through 9. And number 13, Phlomis russelliana. Turkish sage. And I saved this for last because it does something no other plant on today's list does. It provides genuine, significant architectural ornamental value through the entire winter. Phlomis produces whorled clusters of soft yellow flowers ranged in architectural rings around tall, sturdy stems from late spring through early summer. The flower arrangement is geometric and sculptural, unlike anything else in the perennial garden. After the flowers fade, the seed heads remain. And this is where Phlomis becomes extraordinary. Those whorled seed clusters stay on the stems through winter, holding their architectural shape through frost, snow, and ice, creating one of the most genuinely beautiful winter garden silhouettes available to American homeowners. Covered in frost on a still January morning, a mature Phlomis planting looks like something from a botanical illustration. It is that beautiful in its dormant state. It spreads by vigorous clump expansion. One plant becomes a substantial colony in 3 to 4 seasons, forming dense, weed-suppressing mounds of large, textured, semi-evergreen foliage that remains attractive in all but the harshest winters. Deer-resistant, drought-tolerant once established, extremely so. Performs best in lean, well-drained soil. Full sun. Zones 5 through 9. Before you plant a single thing from today's list, 3 mistakes that will undermine everything if you make them. Mistake number 1. Judging year 1 as the final verdict. Every fast-spreading perennial on this list looks modest in its first season. It is building root infrastructure underground, not visible growth above ground. Year 2 is when spreading begins. Year 3 is when most homeowners understand what they planted. Do not pull a perennial after 1 season because it doesn't look impressive. That is the most common and most costly mistake in perennial gardening. Mistake number 2. Ignoring drainage. Poor drainage kills more perennials than drought, cold, and pests combined. Before planting anything, dig a hole 1 foot deep, fill it with water, and time how long it takes to drain completely. If it takes more than 1 hour, you have a drainage problem. Fix it with coarse grit and compost worked deeply into the soil, or build a raised bed above the problem area. Do it once, do it properly. It permanently changes what your soil supports. Mistake number 3. Spacing too conservatively. More space between plants means more time for weeds to establish before coverage closes. With fast-spreading perennials specifically, tighter spacing in year 1 means faster ground coverage, faster weed suppression, and faster transformation of your landscape. Spend a little more on plants up front, space them closer. The compounding return on that investment starts immediately. 3 fixable mistakes. Fix all 3, and every plant on today's list performs exactly as I described. I just gave you the mistake prevention framework that most garden channels skip entirely, because covering it properly requires real knowledge and real commitment to the audience. If you appreciate that level of detail, and I genuinely believe you do, the most useful thing you can do right now is subscribe so you never miss content like this. And share this video with one homeowner you know who is still replanting the same things every spring, when perennials like these could be transforming their landscape permanently. They need to see this. 3 questions before you go, and I want real answers. Question 1. Which of these 13 are you planting first? Be specific. Tell me the plant, and tell me what problem area in your yard you're putting it in. Question 2. Did any plant on today's list genuinely surprise you? Something you'd never heard of, never considered, never seen at your local nursery? Tell me which one, because that gap between what's available and what most people know about is exactly what this channel exists to close. Question 3. What state are you gardening in? Because your zone determines your plant priority list, and knowing where my audience is gardening directly shapes the videos I make next. Drop everything in the comments. I read every single one. This is a real community, and your answers matter here. Here's what I want you to carry out of this video. The most beautiful landscapes in America are not the result of constant work, constant replanting, or constant spending. They are the result of 13 smart decisions, made once by someone who understood that the right plants, planted in the right places, do the work themselves. Every plant on today's list spreads on its own, multiplies on its own, fills bare soil, crowds out weeds, feeds pollinators, and builds something more beautiful every single year, without asking you to start over every spring. That is not a gardening trick. That is biology working in your favor instead of against you. Plant one thing from today's list this weekend, just one, and come back next season and tell me what it looks like. I promise you, you are going to be genuinely surprised. If this video showed you even one plant you're genuinely excited to grow, share it with one person who needs to see it. Like the video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one, where we go just as deep on the plants and strategies that build landscapes worth looking at. See you there.